If you paid the minimum on $5,000 at 20% APR, you'll be paying for up to 15 years and spend $6,000 to $7,000 in interest. That's not a bug. That's not an accident. That's the business model. They told you credit cards were freedom, points, perks, protection, convenience at your fingertips. They didn't tell you it was a business model built on delay, confusion, and compounding interest. A machine designed to turn stress into swipe and swipe into profit. You think you're choosing to spend. Most days, you're reacting to stress, to boredom, to loneliness, to a notification ping engineered to catch you at your weakest moment. Behind that moment is a system optimized over decades to make sure your temporary balance becomes a permanent revenue stream. Before we start, drop your state in the comments along with how many cards you have and your worst APR. Let's see the real numbers. You're not alone in this. This is educational content, not legal or financial advice. Credit card terms, consumer protection laws, and debt collection regulations vary by state and issuer. Always verify your specific rights before taking action. Let's tear the myth open. Let's look at what credit cards actually are when you strip away the marketing, the rewards programs, the reassuring commercials about what's in your wallet. Credit cards are not neutral tools. They're not simple payment methods. They're instruments specifically designed to keep you revolving, not paying in full, not defaulting completely, but hovering in the perfect middle ground where interest charges, late fees, and interchange fees pile up month after month, year after year. The industry has a word for you if you carry a balance, a revolver. They don't call you a valued customer in their internal meetings. They don't call you a cardholder or a member. They call you a revenue line, a performing asset, someone generating reliable, predictable profit. Here's the quiet truth you'll never see in an advertisement, never hear from a spokesperson, never read in the fine print they actually expect you to read. Banks don't need everyone to revolve. They just need enough of you to revolve long enough. The points people and the pay-in-full crowd, the people the industry calls transactors, they're the decoy. They make the product look safe, aspirational, even smart. They're the testimonials. They're the success stories. They're proof the system works if you just use it responsibly. But the profit core, the engine that actually makes credit cards one of the most lucrative products in consumer finance, is the family paying 20% APR on last month's groceries because the car broke down, the kid got sick, the rent went up, or the job cut hours. The person who meant to pay it off next month, but couldn't. The person who's been trying to pay it off for 3 years. You think this is about budgeting. You think this is about personal responsibility. You think if you were just better at managing money, you wouldn't be here. It's not. This is a designed environment, a system built by teams of psychologists, behavioral economists, data scientists, and risk analysts who understand your triggers better than you've ever been taught to understand them yourself. Let's walk through how the trap actually works, not the version in the commercials. The version in the contract you signed but never read, because it was 47 pages of legal language designed to be incomprehensible. First, the grace period illusion. You only avoid interest if you pay the entire statement balance by the due date. Not the minimum, not most of it, the entire balance. Miss that once, even by a single dollar, and new purchases often start accruing interest from the day you make them. No grace period anymore, no interest-free float. Every swipe costs you money immediately, and that grace period doesn't come back until you pay your balance in full again in a future billing cycle. Many people never regain that grace period because there's always some balance rolling over. You think you paid it off. You sent $1,500 to cover the $1,500 statement. But there was $47 in new purchases after the statement closed, or $23 in trailing interest, or a $15 fee you didn't see. So you still have a balance. So you still don't have grace. So every new purchase accrues interest from day one. You're paying interest on groceries you're eating this week, not next month. this week. Pause and check your last statement right now. Did you truly regain grace, or are you still accruing interest on every purchase? Then there's average daily balance calculation. Interest isn't a simple end-of-month charge. It's not calculated once on your statement balance. It's calculated daily based on your average daily balance over the billing cycle, multiplied by a daily periodic rate, which is your APR divided by 365, compounding quietly every single day. Make a big purchase early in the billing cycle. You pay more interest than if you made that same purchase late in the cycle, even though both appear on the same statement. Carry a balance for 6 weeks, but only see 1 month on the statement? You're still paying interest for every single one of those days. The clock is always running. You never see it tick. You only see the charge when the bill arrives. The minimum payment is designed to keep you trapped. Your minimum payment is calculated to be just enough to avoid default, not enough to get you free. Not even close. Typical minimum payment structures. All the interest and fees that accrued that month, plus about 1% of your principal balance. Sometimes it's a flat percentage like 2 or 3% of the total balance, whichever is higher. Here's the rule they don't want you to know. The 36-24 rule. At 20% APR, if you pay roughly 2% of your balance each month, you'll be paying for about 15 years. If you want to pay it off in 24 months instead, you need to pay roughly 4.6 to 5% of your original balance every single month. That means on a $5,000 balance, paying $100 per month keeps you trapped for over a decade. Paying $250 per month gets you out in 2 years. Same debt. Wildly different outcomes. The balance shrinks at a glacial pace with minimum payments because most of your payment every single month goes to interest, not principal. You're running on a treadmill where the belt moves backward almost as fast as you're running forward. Even when you think you've paid in full, there's trailing interest. You can get a surprise leftover charge. Interest that accrued between your statement closing date and the day your payment actually posted and cleared. That's why you sometimes see a small new balance after zeroing out. It's not a mistake. It's not a glitch. It's the model. It's designed that way. Miss a payment? You trigger a penalty APR that can jump into the high 20s, sometimes 29.99%. One late payment, and suddenly you're paying nearly 30% interest on everything. Under the Card Act, issuers generally must give 45 days notice before increasing APR on new transactions, and penalty APRs must be reevaluated at least every 6 months. If you make 6 consecutive on-time payments, they're often required to review and potentially lower it back. But most people don't know to ask, so the penalty rate stays forever. You can also have multiple interest rate buckets on a single card. Purchase APR, cash advance APR, which is higher and has no grace period, promotional APRs for balance transfers or special offers. By law, any amount you pay over the minimum must go to the balance with the highest APR first, but the minimum payment itself goes to interest, fees, and a tiny bit of principal wherever the issuer decides. One card, many traps running simultaneously. Balance transfer offers sound great. 0% for 12 months, they say. But there's a 3 to 5% fee up front. On a $6,000 transfer, that's $180 to $300 just to move the balance. Here's the formula they hope you never calculate. Promotional months divided by balance equals your mandatory monthly payment. $6,000 divided by 18 months equals $334 per month. Without any new purchases. That's your baseline. Pay less, and you won't finish before the promo ends. Don't finish the payoff before the promo ends? The remainder flips to the card's standard APR, often 18 to 24%. Any new purchases you made on that card during the promo likely accrued interest because you lost your grace period. Result: you thought you were free for 12 or 18 months, then you're back in chains, often deeper than before. Deferred interest retail offers are even worse. 0% if paid in full by 12 months sounds amazing when you're buying furniture or electronics. But miss the payoff deadline by even a penny, even one single dollar, and you're charged all the back interest retroactively from day one. That $2,000 couch you almost paid off? You now owe $2,400 because you were $1 short on month 12. It's legal. It's brutal. It's exactly how it's designed to work. Cash advances are a honey trap. Immediate interest from the day you take the cash. No grace period ever. Extra fees, usually 3 to 5% of the amount or a $10 minimum, whichever is higher. Often a higher APR than purchases. ATM fees on top of everything else. Swiping your credit card for cash is like stepping into payday loan weather with a Visa umbrella. You're not protected. You're exposed. Then there are fees by erosion. Late fees up to legal maximums. Foreign transaction fees. Returned payment fees. Over-limit fees if you opted into protection. Balance transfer fees. Cash advance fees. Annual fees on premium cards. Individually, each seems small, reasonable even. Collectively, they're sandblasting your paycheck month after month. Every single piece seems reasonable in isolation. Together, they form a closed ecosystem of friction, designed specifically to keep your balance alive, to keep you paying, to keep you generating revenue for the bank. But this isn't just a math problem. This is nervous system engineering. This is psychology weaponized at industrial scale. Dopamine drives the cycle. Anticipation spikes before the purchase, not after. The relief arrives at the moment your transaction is approved. That little dopamine hit, that tiny sense of control when everything else feels chaotic. The bill lands weeks later, completely disconnected from the relief your brain was chasing when you swiped. Cortisol, stress hormone, shuts down your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles long-term thinking and rational decision-making. When you're stressed about money, when you're anxious, when you're overwhelmed, minimum payments promise instant calm for a small sacrifice now. They hide a big sacrifice later that your stressed brain literally cannot process in the moment. Intermittent rewards keep you hooked. Points, approvals, limit increases, surprise offers. You've been pre-approved for a credit line increase. That's variable ratio reinforcement, the same psychological mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. You never know when the next reward is coming, so you keep engaging, keep checking, keep playing. Social proof and identity marketing are everywhere. Luxury card metal, airport lounge access, status tiers, silver, gold, platinum, black. It's a costume for a feeling. The brand sells who you could be, not what you can afford. The card becomes part of your identity, and walking away from it feels like losing status, losing access, losing yourself. Utilization. Mirage is another trick. Issuers raise your credit limit. You spend more, yet your utilization percentage stays fine. Your credit score looks stable, while your actual debt is absolutely not stable. You think you're doing okay because your utilization is 30%, but 30% of $20,000 is a lot more dangerous than 30% of $5,000. Autopilot friction has been engineered out of spending. Tap to pay, one-click checkout, saved cards in browsers and apps, biometric approval, just look at your phone and buy. Zero pain at the moment of swipe. All the pain arrives 4 weeks later when the bill comes and you don't remember half of what you bought. This is what you're up against. Not willpower versus lattes. Not discipline versus impulse. You versus a lab-tested, data-optimized, psychologically engineered machine that's been refined over decades to do exactly one thing: keep you spending and keep you paying interest. Drop a yep in the comments if you've ever made a minimum payment because you just needed to breathe this month and woke up 3 months later with the balance higher than when you started. Let's talk about the industry architecture. Who actually gets paid and why they need you to revolve. Credit card economics flow from 3 main streams. First, interest from revolvers. This is the core profit engine. Second, interchange fees skimmed from every merchant transaction, usually 1 to 3% of every swipe. Third, fees, late fees, annual fees, cash advance fees, balance transfer fees, foreign transaction fees, over-limit fees, everything. Rewards aren't charity. They're not gifts. They're funded by interchange fees and by interest paid by revolvers. Merchants raise prices to cover interchange costs. Non-cardholders subsidize cardholders through higher prices. Revolvers subsidize rewards chasers through interest payments. The game is designed so someone always pays, and it's almost never the bank. When your balance grows, when you can't pay it off, the system has contingency layers built in. Securitization of credit card receivables, your debt bundled and sold to investors, sophisticated risk modeling that predicted your default probability before you even applied. Relentless collection funnels designed to extract payment even after you've given up. Your stress is an asset class. Your anxiety is a revenue stream. Your struggle is a line item on a quarterly earnings report. Let me show you 10 specific traps that keep normal, well-intentioned people stuck for years. These aren't edge cases. These are the standard operating procedures of the industry. 1. Always pay the minimum becomes normalized. It's not advice, it's a sentence. It's the difference between 2 years of payments and 20 years of payments. 2. 0% APR for 12 months without a payoff plan. No plan equals boomerang. You think you're getting ahead, you're just delaying the trap. 3. Multiple balance types on one card. Cash advance balance sitting there accruing 25% interest while you make payments that go to your 18% purchase balance first. Silent bleeding you never see. 4. Deferred interest at retail stores. That retroactive interest clause is a guillotine hanging over your head. The blade drops on day 366 if you're even $1 short. 5. Credit limit increases that feel like praise. Congratulations, we're increasing your limit. It's not a reward for good behavior. It's bait to increase your spending capacity and your eventual debt. 6. Autopay set to minimum. It saves you from late fees. Great. But it extends your debt horizon indefinitely. You'll never get out paying minimums. 7. Holiday spending and January reality. Your joy was December. Your interest payments are February through forever. 8. Rewards obsession while carrying a balance. Getting 2% cash back while paying 20% APR is math you really don't want to do. You're losing 18 cents on every dollar for the illusion of getting 2 cents back. 9. Convenience checks sent by your card issuer. Those are paper-thin payday loans with your credit card's cash advance terms. High fees, high APR, no grace period, immediate interest. 10. Silence. Not calling to negotiate your APR, not asking for fee waivers, not requesting hardship programs, not knowing your rights. Silence is profit fuel for the industry. Let's talk about what they can and cannot do when you're behind on payments, because knowing your rights changes the power dynamic completely. They can raise your APR on new transactions with proper notice, generally 45 days under the Card Act. They can add late fees up to legal maximums. They can suspend your rewards. They can report late payments to credit bureaus after 30 days past due. They can close your account. They can send your debt to collections. But they cannot send you to jail for unpaid consumer debt. Debtors' prisons are unconstitutional. They cannot threaten you with arrest. Wage garnishment requires a court judgment first. Many federal benefits like Social Security are protected from garnishment. Statutes of limitations on credit card lawsuits vary by state, usually 3 to 6 years. Third-party debt collectors are bound by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Your original card issuer isn't covered by FDCPA, but UDAAP rules. Unfair, deceptive, or abusive acts or practices regulations still prohibit abusive practices by all financial institutions. Collectors cannot call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. They cannot call you at work if you tell them not to. They cannot harass, threaten, or lie to you. They cannot pretend to be law enforcement or attorneys if they're not. If they violate these rules, document everything and report them to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and your state attorney general. Many cards include mandatory arbitration clauses with a 30 to 60-day opt-out window after account opening. Check your cardholder agreement. If you want the right to sue in court instead of being forced into arbitration, you often have to opt out in writing within that window. You often have access to hardship programs, temporary APR reductions, fee waivers, structured paydown plans. But they won't advertise these. They won't tell you they exist. You have to ask. You have to call and specifically request to speak to the hardship department or retention team. Knowing your rights won't erase the balance, but it erases their leverage. It shifts the power dynamic from "I'm helpless" to "I know what you can and cannot do." Let me show you the numbers they hope you never calculate. Real scenarios, real outcomes. This is what actually happens when you follow the path the industry designed for you. Scenario A. The classic slow bleed. You have a $5,000 balance at 20% APR. Your minimum payment is interest plus 1% of principal, starts around $100 to $125. If you pay only minimums and add no new charges, you'll be paying for 13 to 15 years. You'll spend $6,000 to $7,000 in interest. You'll pay double the original amount for purchases you made over a decade ago. The balance shrinks at a glacial pace because most of your payment every month feeds interest, not principal. You're paying $100, but only $15 or $20 is actually reducing your debt. The rest is pure profit for the bank. Scenario B. The free balance transfer. You transfer $6,000 at 0% for 18 months with a 4% fee. That's $240 up front. If you pay exactly $334 per month, which is $6,000 divided by 18, and make no new purchases, you clear it in time. You bought yourself 18 months of breathing room for $240. That's not terrible if you stick to the plan, but if you pay $200 per month instead, you won't finish before the promo ends. The remaining balance flips to the card's standard APR, often 18 to 24%. Any new purchases you made on that card during the promo likely accrued interest because you lost grace. Time went from friend to enemy. You thought you were getting ahead. You just moved the trap. Scenario C. Deferred interest furniture deal. You buy $2,000 in furniture with 0% if paid in full in 12 months. You pay diligently. You send $166 every month. Month 12 arrives. You think you're done, but you miscalculated by $1. You owe $1. The lender posts all 12 months of deferred interest retroactively. Your $1 mistake costs you $400 or $500 depending on the rate. That's not an accident. That's the business model. That's exactly how it's designed to work. These aren't edge cases. These aren't rare outcomes. These are normal, predictable results when you interact with credit cards the way the system expects and encourages you to. So how do you actually break the loop? How do you escape a system that's been optimized for decades to keep you trapped? You don't need more willpower. You need design that favors you instead of them. You need to change the environment, not just try harder within the same environment. First, freeze the damage. Do this today, right now, as soon as this video ends. Turn off saved payment methods in your browsers and on your phone. Delete stored credit cards from Amazon, from every shopping app, from every site you use. Disable one-click checkout wherever possible. Set up autopay for at least the minimum payment on every card. If you can afford it, set autopay to the full statement balance on your primary card. If you can't, set it to minimum and create a second monthly payment. Manually send extra money to principal. Put it on your calendar. Make it a recurring event. Treat it like rent. Remove credit cards from your physical wallet for 30 days. Use debit or cash for daily spending. Just for 30 days. Prove to yourself you can function without them. The goal isn't to never use credit again. The goal is to break the autopilot, to create friction, to make spending a conscious choice instead of a reflex. Opt out of credit line increases for now. Call your issuers and tell them you don't want automatic increases. You can always request one later if you actually need it, but automatic increases are bait to expand your spending. Second, make 2 calls per card. 2 specific, strategic phone calls that can save you thousands of dollars. Call A, retention or account services. Say this, word for word, if it helps. I want to stay with this card, but my current APR and fees aren't sustainable. I'm asking for an APR reduction and a waiver on my last late fee or annual fee. If you can't help with that, please connect me to your hardship department. They might say no. They might offer something small. Push back politely. I understand your position, but I'm asking you to review my account history and see if there's any flexibility. I've been a customer for X years. I need help to continue being a customer. If they still say no, say, please note in my account that I requested relief and was declined. I'll follow up in 30 days. Then call back in 30 days. Different representative, different script, different outcome. Persistence works. Pause and bookmark this script. You'll need it. Ask for temporary APR reduction for 6 to 12 months. Permanent APR cut if possible. Fee waivers. Enrollment in a hardship program if they offer one. Call B. Payment date adjustment. Say, I need to move my due date to right after my payday. Or, I'd like to split my payments. Can I make 2 smaller payments per month instead of 1 large one? 2 smaller payments per billing cycle reduce your average daily balance. Lower average daily balance means less interest charged, even if you're paying the same total amount. It's a mathematical advantage most people never use because they don't know it exists. Third, choose your payoff method. There are 3 main strategies, and they all work, but they work for different psychological types. Avalanche method is the math winner. You pay minimums on everything except the card with the highest APR. Every extra dollar goes to that highest rate card. Once it's paid off, you roll that payment to the next highest rate. This saves you the most money in interest over time. Snowball method is the psychological winner. You pay minimums on everything except the smallest balance. Every extra dollar goes to the smallest debt. You pay that off fast, get a win, feel momentum, then roll that payment to the next smallest balance. This doesn't save you as much in interest, but it gives you motivation to keep going. Hybrid method is what most people actually stick to in real life. Start with the smallest balance to get one quick win and prove to yourself this is possible. Then switch to Avalanche and attack the highest APR. You get the psychological boost and the mathematical advantage. Pick one. Commit to it. Don't switch strategies every month. Consistency beats optimization. Fourth, consider moving the balance, but only once and only if it genuinely helps. If you can get a credit union personal loan at a lower fixed APR, consolidate your credit card debt into that loan. Pay it off over a fixed term at a fixed rate with a fixed monthly payment that actually reduces the principal. If you do a 0% balance transfer, do it with a strict payoff plan you can afford. Use the formula. Balance divided by promo months equals your mandatory monthly payment. Set that amount to autopay. Do not make new purchases on that card during the promo period. Treat it like a loan, not like a credit card. But if you can't commit to finishing the payoff within the promotional window, skip the balance transfer entirely. Don't trade one trap for another. Don't add another fee and another timeline you can't meet. Fifth, repair your environment, not just your budget, because your environment is constantly programming you to spend. Unsubscribe from every shopping email. every promotional newsletter, every exclusive deal notification. They're not helping you save money. They're creating desire where none existed 5 minutes ago. Turn off deal notifications and targeted ads. Disable shopping app alerts. Remove the apps entirely if you can. If you need to buy something, you can go to the website. The friction of opening a browser instead of tapping an app is often enough to make you pause and reconsider. Hide your card numbers. Make spending slightly inconvenient. Write your card number on paper and keep it in a drawer instead of saving it digitally. The 30 seconds it takes to go get that paper and type in the number is often enough time for your rational brain to catch up with your emotional impulse. Replace the emotional reward you're getting from spending. When the urge to buy something hits, do a 90-second ritual instead. Here's the ritual, step by step. 1. Notice the urge. Say out loud or in your head, I want to buy something right now. 2. Box breathing. 4 counts in through your nose, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out through your mouth, 4 counts hold. Repeat this 6 times. Takes about 90 seconds. 3. Ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Stressed? Bored? Lonely? Anxious? 4. Ask, what do I actually need for the next 24 hours? Not want, need. That 90-second pause is often enough for the dopamine craving to peak and start fading. If you can outlast the craving without acting on it, you win. 6th, use your legal levers. These are tools most people never use because they don't know they exist. Ask for a hardship program in writing. Get documentation of any agreements. Keep copies of everything. Under the Fair Credit Billing Act, dispute billing errors in writing within 60 days to the issuer's designated billing dispute address. If you see a charge you didn't make, if you see interest calculated incorrectly, if you see a fee that shouldn't be there, dispute it. The card issuer has to investigate and respond. If a debt collector breaks the rules, calls at illegal hours, harasses you, threatens illegal action, lies about what they can do, document everything. Log dates and times. Save voicemails. Record calls if your state allows single-party consent. Report violations to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Federal Trade Commission, and your state attorney general. If your card issuer changes terms and raises rates on new purchases, remember, under the Card Act, they generally need to give you 45 days notice, and your existing balance usually stays at the old rate. Use that window to stop using the card and focus on paying down the balance at the lower rate. 7th, don't destroy your credit history in a panic. Closing all your cards immediately feels good emotionally, but it can hurt you long-term. Don't close your oldest card. Age of accounts is a significant factor in your credit score. If you have a card you've had for 10 years, even if it's from a predatory issuer, don't close it. Call and ask for a product change to a no annual fee version of the card. Then put it in a drawer and forget about it. You keep the age, you keep the available credit, which helps your utilization ratio, but you stop using it. Close predatory junk cards only after you've stabilized everything else. Close store cards with terrible terms. Close cards with annual fees you can't justify. But do it strategically, not emotionally. Let me give you a 7-day reset plan. 7 days. Not 7 months. Not someday when you're ready. 7 days starting right now. Day 1. Inventory without judgment. List every credit card you have. Write down the balance, the APR, the due date, the minimum payment. 1 page, 1 simple list. Reality beats anxiety every single time. Day 2. Set up autopay and split payments. Autopay minimums on all cards so you never miss a due date again. Then add a mid-cycle payment to your worst APR card. Put it on your calendar as a recurring event. Even if it's just $25 extra, you're building momentum. Day 3. Make 2 calls per card. Retention team for APR and fee relief. Hardship department if you need it. Payment date adjustment to sync with your payday. These calls take 20 minutes each, and can save you thousands of dollars over the next year. Day 4. Environment detox. 30 minutes. Unsubscribe from promotional emails. Disable one-click checkout. Delete saved credit cards from websites and apps. Remove cards from your physical wallet. Kill shopping app notifications. Make spending inconvenient again. Day 5. Pick your method and prove it. Avalanche, snowball, or hybrid. Make your first extra payment, even if it's $10, even if it's $25. Momentum is a muscle. You have to start somewhere. Day 6. One-time move if it helps. Only if it genuinely lowers your cost and you have a solid payoff plan. Credit union loan to consolidate at lower rate. Single 0% balance transfer with a strict monthly payment plan. If it's not ironclad, if you can't commit, skip this step entirely. Day 7. Write your if-then map. If it's 9 p.m. and I want to scroll shop, then I walk for 10 minutes instead. If I feel shame about my debt, then I open my payment tracker and make a $10 principal payment. If I get a promotional email, then I delete it without opening it. Write these down. Put them where you usually spend. On your phone lock screen, on your computer monitor, on your fridge. Shame freezes you. Action melts it. Comment, Day 1 done, when you delete your saved cards. Let's see how many people actually start today. Now let me show you the 90-day plan that banks absolutely do not want you to use. 3 months. 90 days to fundamentally shift your trajectory. Weeks 1 and 2. Stabilize. No new debt. Period. Not one swipe. Not one charge. Use debit or cash only. Win your smallest balance with Snowball method or attack your highest APR with Avalanche. Start making mid-cycle payments to cut your average daily balance. Document every phone call outcome. What you asked for, what they said, when to follow up. Weeks 3 through 6. Restructure. Lock in any hardship APR reductions you negotiated. Get the agreement in writing. If you're consolidating debt, do it now. Don't close old accounts, product change to no-fee versions instead. Build a $250 to $500 emergency buffer through side gigs, selling things you don't need, adjusting your tax withholding, cutting one major expense temporarily. A small buffer means fewer emergencies end up on plastic. Weeks 7 through 10. Acceleration. Add a fixed principal payment to your worst APR card. Even $50 per week makes a massive difference over 3 months. Every unexpected dollar you get, tax refund, gift, overtime pay, rebate check, split it 50-50 between your buffer fund and your highest rate debt principal. Weeks 11 through 13. Lock in your gains. Reassess all your APRs. Call again for rate reductions now that your balances are lower and your payment history is stronger. Move autopay to full statement balance on at least one card if you can afford it. Set a rule for yourself. No new credit cards for 12 months. Your credit score will grow from lower utilization and consistent on-time payments, not from opening new accounts. By day 90, most people see this. Fewer cards carrying balances, significantly lower interest costs, and rising confidence that this is actually possible. Getting 2 cards paid off is average. 3 is very possible. 1 is a solid win. Any progress is proof the system can be beaten. Let me answer the questions you didn't ask, but your future self wishes you had. Should you close all your cards? No. Keep your oldest accounts for credit age. Product change them to no-fee versions. Sock drawer.